Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 7, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 101, 776, Immortal Formation Fragments. 101st of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Kuyao forcefully swallowed the blood welling in her mouth, her gaze cold and resolute. She patted Li Wei's arm, signaling him to release her, and immediately sat up. Li Wei, his eyes fixed on her face from close range, gently shook his head. He released her mouth but firmly gripped her restless hand. Understanding his concern, Kuyao closed her eyes and lay back down. Whoosh! The iron-masked man returned, reappearing at the edge of the formation. His gaze swept across the vast expanse of shattered walls and ruins enveloped by the formation. They actually escaped. Impressive. Another quarter of an hour passed before Li Wei finally collapsed, gasping for breath. His heart gradually returned to its normal rhythm as spiritual qi circulated through his body, regulating his breathing and healing his injuries. Fang Yuding, who had been completely pressed against her, didn't draw Kuyao's immediate ire this time. She understood the extreme physical and mental exhaustion he had endured in his weakened state. After a long silence, she calmly said, "Shouldn't you get up now?" In their earlier predicament, Li Wei had been completely oblivious to Kuyao's body. He pushed aside the stone wall, stood up, and surveyed the brilliantly illuminated immortal formation before them. Kuyao slowly supported herself up, her injured body aching, and observed the formation before her. Fortunately, this formation is incomplete. Otherwise, even if we survived that mysterious expert, we would have been annihilated by the formation's destructive power. Li Wei, also proficient in formations, immediately recognized the situation. For a formation to remain active for so long and still be capable of reactivation, even if it was originally powered by spiritual crystals, its spiritual qi should have been exhausted long ago. Intriguing. You've been in the wolf's solitary wilderness for centuries, Kuyao asked. Who do you think that seventh immortal realm expert was? She naturally wouldn't suspect Transcendent. With Transcendent's perception, they would have been discovered long ago. Yet even within the seventh immortal realm, the gap in power could be as vast as the heavens and the earth. Cultivating 5 million immortal scriptures might qualify one for the seventh immortal realm. Cultivating over 10 million immortal scriptures would also place one in the seventh immortal realm. However, cultivating over 10 million scriptures didn't necessarily mean one had reached the Tao Harmony realm. Only after achieving Tao Harmony realm could one draw the heaven and earth laws into their body and condense the nirvana heavenly core. The amount of laws within different martial mystic cultivators' bodies varied dramatically, all within the seventh immortal realm. To even have a chance of climbing the immortal heavenly ranking, one needed to cultivate to Tao Harmony realm. And even then, it was only a chance. In Shencang's cultivation of the six similitudes, like a dream, like an illusion, like a bubble, like a shadow, like dew, like lightning, was at the void core realm, that had brought her to the brink of condensing the nirvana heavenly core. The journey from Tao Harmony realm, where one begins drawing laws into the body, to condensing a void core is the most arduous and protracted stage. It's akin to the path from a top-tier transcendent to becoming a heavenly emperor. The laws used to condense a heavenly core vary slightly for each individual. No one knows precisely how many laws, what types of laws, or what proportions are required. Nor do they know how these laws must resonate with the scriptures to achieve the qualitative transformation from chaotic laws into a void core. This process involves countless moments of confusion and doubt, even discarding certain laws to cultivate others through constant experimentation. Merely accumulating more laws doesn't guarantee the formation of a void core. In fact, excessive laws can lead to loss of control, causing the body to explode and resulting in death. Progress stalls, errors are continuously corrected, and one must constantly sense and seek the catalyst for transformation. The paths forged by predecessors serve only as references, not fully applicable blueprints. The cultivation of the person they encountered earlier was at least at the Tao Harmony realm. Li Wei shook his head slightly. The wolf's solitary wilderness is a vital north-south passage through the 100 realms of life domain. Experts come and go like rain. Who can say for sure? In truth, he had faintly sensed Shi's vital energy earlier and harbored a rough guess about his identity. Kuyao smiled faintly. Compared to Ji Yanru, who is stronger? Li Wei's expression darkened, his tone warning. Don't mention her. Is this how you speak to the future young master? Kuyao gracefully moved aside, swallowed a healing spiritual pill, and sat down to meditate and recover. She glanced at Fang Yuding, who stood silently, petrified. After a moment of reflection, she apologized, "I'm sorry. This is clearly a deep-seated trauma. I won't joke about it again. Thank you for your help this time. What about that mysterious great immortal expert in black armor? I injured him, and he fled." Li Wei remained rooted to the spot, focusing on healing and replenishing his spiritual qi. Kuyao's heart skipped a beat. Fang Yuding's strength was truly formidable. Securing such a great immortal realm expert under her command would be a guaranteed win. Both were masters of formation, aware that the residual formation here couldn't last. As its energy depleted, it would inevitably cease functioning. For now, the best course of action was to remain still. Half a day later, the formation's glow gradually dimmed, then vanished completely. Li Wei had fully recovered to his peak condition. He darted toward the spot where the formation's energy beams had previously erupted, carefully hacking and digging downward with his battle sword. Ku Yao retrieved the formation flags and slowly approached. What are you doing? Li Wei glanced at her, noticing the flags in her hand. These formation flags are extraordinary. This banner belongs to the most exceptionally talented person of our era, Ku Yao said, her thoughts drifting back to the battle outside the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy in the Calamity Crossing realm. Ji Yu Junxiang and Shan Shenzhi were both peerless geniuses. Shenji was no less formidable than any true disciple of the ancient sects. Yet even with Cao Lin joining forces, the four great experts had only managed to achieve such a stalemate, a scenario Ku Yao couldn't have imagined a year ago. In her eyes, Ji Yu Junxiang had been an awe-inspiring figure, far beyond her reach, standing before whom she felt both inferior and under immense pressure. But that man had completely overshadowed Ji Yu Junxiang, stripping him of his brilliance. Li Wei scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. The world is vast, with mountains beyond mountains and people beyond people. Who dares claim to be the greatest? You've clearly been wallowing in ignorance lately, Ku Yao retorted, her tone sharp. If you'd bothered to inquire, you'd realize what a frog in a well you've become. Have you ever heard of the 10th Spring Divine Gate? Li Wei's digging froze mid-motion. This time, his shock wasn't feigned. Ku Yao, pleased by his reaction, continued, her gaze lingering on him like a silken thread. He's likely the one. The battle between Li Wei and the four great experts had been brutal, yet he hadn't used his profound perception, sparking widespread speculation. Many elders believed he had defied the odds, defeating the four experts while still in the fourth immortal realm. Li Wei watched Ku Yao, her delicate chin tilted slightly upward as if lost in thought, and continued digging in silence. A short while later, he exclaimed, Could this be the legendary immortal formation fragment? Li Wei stared down at the narrow, one-jong square space below, genuine joy lighting up his eyes. Inside the space lay an irregular stone, about the size of a washbasin, etched with intricate formation inscriptions. Ku Yao hurried over. It's definitely an immortal formation fragment. Such a large piece. Don't touch it recklessly. Triggering the formation could be extremely dangerous. I dug it out myself, Li Wei immediately declared, staking his claim. He slowly retreated to a safe distance, then unleashed chains of spiritual qi that snaked down into the underground space. Ku Yao retreated even further. That's too risky. You're a noble lady of the Prime Minister's residence, Li Wei retorted, his eyes gleaming. What do you know about the hardships and dangers loose cultivators face to obtain cultivation resources? An immortal formation fragment this size is worth as much as a low-grade spiritual crystal of the same size. Can you imagine how much that's worth? With this fragment, they could refine a complete great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation. Ku Yao had never seen such a burning intensity in Fang Yuding's eyes before. Moments later, chains of spiritual qi wrapped around the immortal formation fragment, pulling it upward. The formation flickered mid-ascent but didn't activate. Li Wei tightly embraced the heavy immortal formation fragment, carefully examining and stroking it. Just as I suspected, he murmured. The previous activation nearly exhausted its energy. It needs to reabsorb heaven-earth spiritual qi to recover. Placing it in the heavenly law earth spring should restore it quickly. Noticing Ku Yao's peculiar expression, Li Wei quickly composed himself, fearing she had seen through his facade. To his surprise, Ku Yao turned and rushed toward a formation node, retrieving her own spiritual artifact to begin digging. Li Wei was astonished. A noble lady of the Prime Minister's residence would stoop to collecting immortal formation fragments. Spare me your sarcasm. Ku Yao retorted. Such treasures are coveted by even the transcendent, provided there are enough of them and they're large enough. The Prime Minister's residence is vast, with tens of thousands of cultivators born every Jiazi cycle. Resources must be earned through competition. Ku Yao squatted to dig, maintaining her elegant posture throughout. In the end, Li Wei, digging faster, secured 5 immortal formation fragments, while Ku Yao only managed to obtain 3. The fragments were roughly the same size. 3 days later. In the eastern part of Han Province, within a large market town boasting a population of over 100,000, Li Wei and Ku Yao sat in a tea house at the town's edge, dressed in plain, purchased clothing and disguised. The tea in their cups was bitter and astringent, served in rough earthenware cups. Li Wei, naturally unbothered, gulped it down. What surprised him was that Ku Yao, having narrowly escaped death, also managed to sip from her cup. What's wrong? Do you think a noble lady of the Prime Minister's residence should only drink fine wine and jade dew from immortal jade cups? This tea is perfectly clean, Ku Yao said, pursing her red lips as she set down her cup. Li Wei chuckled. I just think that someone with your figure and beauty can't hide, no matter how you disguise yourself. You're too striking, and you'll attract countless covetous eyes. Look around. Ku Yao glanced at the ill-intentioned gazes around them. With a great expert like you here, why should I fear them? Fang Yuding, you know, I don't really trust you. Li Wei turned to her. Ku Yao said earnestly, cultivation at the sixth realm of the immortal realm is a talent any major power would fight to recruit. You, Fang Yuding, can't be even 300 years old, right? Reaching the sixth immortal realm at such a young age is remarkable. If you joined a major power, you'd undoubtedly achieve transcendent status. Once you reach the transcendent realm, you'll be one of the few powerhouses even within the demon minister manor. The demon minister himself would value you highly. Given your temperament, you should have joined the demon kingdom or holy dynasty and done everything possible to overthrow Twilight Manor City. How could you possibly give up on yourself? Li Wei shook his head gently, remaining silent as he rose to leave. Don't leave. Refute me. Ku Yao lightly slapped the table. Li Wei met her gaze again and revealed Fang Yuding's true experiences. Join the demon kingdom or holy dynasty. In imperial courts like yours, established for tens of thousands of years, all the benefits have long been divided among the myriad races and transcendent families. Imperial clan members are scattered across every province. Where would there be a place for me in the bureaucracy? Even if I knelt and begged, they'd assume my sincerity was feigned. The military might offer a place for someone like me, but I'd never reach the core. I'd only be assigned the most dangerous missions. Even if I succeeded, the credit might not even be mine. Isn't that right? Ku Yao fell silent. Li Wei continued, in the end, I'd likely be used until I died. And even in death, I might still be exploited. These were Fang Yuding's true experiences. After reviewing his records, Li Wei felt a profound sense of empathy. Fortunately, in this world, he had Master Coffin when he was weak, encountered the hidden monarch, and later found support from Zhenhai Guanwu and Yu Yaozi. Without them, his path would have been far more arduous. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 102, 777, Chong Yukan and Zhenhai Guanwu. 102nd of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The wind howled across the desolate wilderness, its icy breath piercing through the air. During the day, the defensive formation protecting the settlement shimmered like a faint, rippling veil, its ethereal glow barely visible as it swayed in the wind, warding off attacks from fierce insects and dead spirits. Ku Yao pondered her words carefully before saying, it's not as bleak as you imagine. Even the demon kingdom actively recruits immortals every Jazi, offering them promising futures. Mere token gestures. Li Wei scoffed. The immortal ascension competition has too much influence. Every living realm naturally seizes this opportunity to put on a show, hoping to attract talent. Besides, we're talking about immortal ascension beings, the most exceptional nirvana realm seedlings of each Jazi. How could ordinary martial mystic cultivators compare? Li Wei considered Fang Yuding's inner thoughts and continued, even among the immortal ascension beings of each Jazi, what percentage actually reach the nirvana realm? From what I know, the nine-headed dragon of the demon minister has adopted 9 exceptionally talented foster sons over the past 500 years. Yet only one has broken through to the nirvana realm, the rest remain trapped in the 7th realm of the immortal realm. Each of those 9 is no less capable than a heavenly emperor's disciple, right? If even such paragons face such slim chances of reaching the nirvana realm, what hope do other immortal ascension beings have? And what about martial mystic cultivators like me? Which faction would cultivate me as a transcendent talent? 90% of such investments end in failure. Even if I did become a transcendent, I might still turn out to be an ungrateful wretch, repaying kindness with malice. Yang Shenjing's betrayal of the Zhu tribe and the Second Palace Master's betrayal of the Grand Palace Master. Driven by the immense allure of the Great Tao and eternal lifespan, such betrayals were commonplace in the cultivation world. This further intensified the myriad races and transcendents' vigilance against outsiders, making them even more cautious about nurturing unfamiliar juniors. Ku Yao didn't argue further. I'll remember this debt for saving me. Join my Ku Prime Minister's manor, and you can choose a direct lineage Ku clan woman in the immortal realm as your wife. Your cultivation is worthy of such a match. I'm only at the 4th realm of Holy Spiritual Master myself, so I can't promise too much. But I guarantee the Ku Prime Minister's manor won't merely exploit you without offering corresponding benefits. Is Ku Yao serious? Li Wei's eyelids twitched. Had he overplayed his hand? What if Ku Yao immediately introduced him to a transcendent from the Demon Prime Minister's manor and ordered him to report to Xiaoyao capital? Seeing his hesitation, Ku Yao assumed he was still wary. A captivating smile bloomed on her jade-like face. You think I trust you solely because you saved me? That's only part of the reason. Fang Yuding, you possess a natural charisma you yourself may not even realize. In moments of extreme danger, people often reveal their true selves. When the stone wall collapsed underground, you instinctively shielded me, creating a small space to protect me from harm. You could have easily chosen not to. That split-second reaction, leaving no room for calculation or premeditation, exposed your deep-seated desire to protect the vulnerable. Over the past few days, even in the most dangerous situations, I've maintained a degree of caution around you. But in that moment, I sensed your sincerity. You could never be a selfish or malicious person. Li Wei was slightly taken aback. He hadn't given it much thought at the time, it was purely instinct. Besides, he didn't see it as a big deal. Even if the wall had collapsed, Ku Yao's cultivation level would have ensured her survival. Does sincerity truly move people? Your matter is settled then. Ku Yao's expression turned serious, her eyes gleaming with a cold light. You fought those two. Do you think they were high-ranking commanders of the Shencang bandit raiders? Li Wei retrieved a 7-foot-long spear from his boundary pouch and handed it to her. It was the battle weapon left behind by the second black-armored martial mystic cultivator. Seeing the boundary pouch and spear, the martial mystic cultivators who had been eyeing Ku Yao's beauty and figure immediately retreated, recognizing that these two were not to be trifled with. Ku Yao reached for the 7-foot spear, but Li Wei refused to release his grip. Name your price, he said. I'll sell it to you. Ku Yao's cheeks puffed up in anger. Are you that desperate for money? I need to gather resources to cultivate to the 7th immortal realm, Li Wei replied earnestly. After negotiating a price, Ku Yao took the spear and examined it closely. A 7th grade 1000 inscriptions artifact, the Python Dragon Thorn. This is a common spiritual artifact used by high-ranking members of the Shencang bandit raiders. They can petrify their skin, Li Wei added. Ku Yao's amber-like purple eyes narrowed. The more they resemble the Shencang bandit raiders, the less likely it is to be them. 7 or 8 immortals have already died, including the Holy Dynasty's Tanhua. Even I, the Demon Kingdom's second-ranked, nearly fell victim. Would the Shencang bandit raiders dare to court death so brazenly? Li Wei shared her skepticism. He knew that the black-armored man carried death spirit fire implanted by the Holy Spiritual King Psychic Master, specifically to destroy corpses and cover their tracks. Ku Yao gazed at the distant horizon. The enforcement group is approaching. Get into my boundary pouch. During the Immortal Ascension competition, I'll need you to continue protecting me in secret under the guise of Li Ting. Li Ting was merely a martial mystic cultivator at the Dao Seed realm and shouldn't have been here. It was she who had sent word, drawing the enforcement group to this location. I'm not comfortable being stuffed into a boundary pouch. It feels too insecure. Miss Ku, farewell for now. We'll meet again at the Mu clan tribe. Li Wei rose to leave, vanishing into the crowd before the enforcement group arrived. Leaving Han province, Li Wei didn't return directly to Formation State. Instead, he headed to Lu province, which bordered Formation State. Guoju's death had changed his previous plans. Death often struck suddenly, catching people completely off guard. He had only met Guoju once, but killing the black-armored man had avenged him. He would later entrust Guoju's spiritual artifact and jade tome to Mo Duanfeng for proper disposal, thus repaying the debt. But what if, due to the Demon Kingdom's schemes, and his own failure to act when he could have, Nangong and Lu Yi were to die? Li Wei would find it difficult to live with himself. That was why, despite the considerable risk of exposure Zuoqiu Hongting had warned him about, the Three Clan Alliance's headquarters were likely being watched by powerful figures from the Demon Kingdom faction. He still had to go. His influence with Yu Yaozi and Zhenhai Guanwu far surpassed Nangong's standing within the Void Ruins ancient clan or Lu Yi's in the rainforest habitat. The level of importance they placed on him was entirely different. They must have established a presence in Lu province. This was the confidence that emboldened Li Wei to take such a risk. The Three Clan Alliance's base was located at the remains of the Temple of the Wind God, 600 li from Lu Prefecture City. The temple had been abandoned for countless years, leaving only massive, scattered stones resembling the skeletal remains of immortal beasts. In past Immortal Ascension, the 9th-generation Immortals of the Holy Dynasty had always seized this site first, establishing a stronghold by deploying formations and building fortifications. This was because Lu province lay at the heart of the Wolf Solitary Wilderness, bordering 6 other provinces, allowing for rapid military advances. Moreover, its swampy terrain and intricate underground waterways provided immortals with escape routes in all directions should danger arise. On the surface, powerful immortals could extend their spiritual light 3 to 400 li, detecting fast-moving targets and suspicious solitary creatures within several hundred li. However, underground and underwater, their detection range was severely limited. The Three Clan Alliance's holy spiritual masters had spent a year at the remains of the Temple of the Wind God, deploying formations and transforming the site into an impregnable rear-line fortress. Li Wei remained cautious, using the disguise technique to blend in with young martial cultivators eager to glimpse the immortals from afar. On the horizon, colossal boulders, each as massive as a mountain, stretched out in long, striated formations. Bathed in the slanting sunlight, the interplay of light and shadow created a breathtaking spectacle. Half buried in the earth and piled haphazardly, these stones evoked visions of the temple of the wind god's former grandeur and mystery, a relic of the giant race. I wonder if we'll get to see the holy maiden of Void Ruin's ancient clan, one young martial cultivator mused. Legend says she inherited the fountain of light from the Void Ruin's empress. Her skin is flawless as immortal jade, and her eyes shimmer like starlight. Some say she might be the empress reincarnated. I'm more excited to see Southern Dragon and Jiyu Junxiang, another replied. They're the most legendary figures of our era. The Immortal Ascension competition. Why aren't they fighting? I thought they'd be tearing the heavens apart every day. How are they supposed to seize the Jade Tome just by staying in their camps? Who said they aren't fighting? Before Jiyu Junxiang arrived, the Demon Kingdom eliminated a large number of immortals. Now it's a phase of confrontation and probing, a test of patience where they exchange moves, searching for their opponents' weaknesses. Why is the three-clan alliance in such a hurry? With the Chun Silkworm's help, the longer they drag this out, the better for them. They'd be best off just holding their ground until the end of the Immortal Ascension competition. After 3 years of the Immortal Ascension competition, everyone's being extremely cautious. Seizing the Jade Tome is incredibly difficult. This year's competition is already the most intense in history. The surrounding young martial mystic cultivators buzzed with discussion. Li Wei gleaned several key pieces of information from their conversations. One cultivator mentioned that a deputy sentinel lord, a powerful expert from the enforcement group, was stationed in Lu Prefecture City. Any transcendent beings approaching the Holy Dynasty, Demon Kingdom, or three-clan alliances outposts would be promptly escorted away. Another claimed that a highly respected Life Realm lord, unaffiliated with any faction, had been invited to oversee the Wolf Solitary Wilderness. As Li Wei roamed the area near the remains of the Temple of the Wind God, he spotted several prominent 8th and 7th generation immortal experts, each with a renowned reputation. Finally, on the afternoon of the following day, the formation barrier around the temple remains opened. 4 immortals from the three-clan alliance emerged and hurried toward Lu Prefecture City. Seizing this opportunity, 7th Phoenix slipped into the outpost, carrying Li Wei's message. 2 hours later, 7th Phoenix returned to a desolate hill 60 miles from the temple remains, spitting out a jade slip. The slip bore Lu Yi's handwriting. After reading it, Li Wei tucked 7th Phoenix into his sleeve, swiftly concealed himself, and departed for formation state. The 9th generation immortals of the Demon Kingdom had to fend for themselves. Li Wei's greatest threat lay outside the Immortal Ascension competition, and he couldn't afford to reveal himself prematurely. As he traversed a desolate desert, Li Wei grew increasingly uneasy, feeling as though he was being watched. Yet this sensation differed from past instances of being observed. It was faint, almost imperceptible, making it impossible to confirm. I haven't even dared to meet Lu Yi's gaze, he thought to himself. I shouldn't have left any openings. Besides, haven't all the transcendent experts been dismissed? A sudden gust of wind swept through the desert. Li Wei's spiritual qi surged within him as he whirled around. His gaze swept across the barren landscape behind him, stretching for miles without a sign of life. Only a lone desert poplar, towering hundreds of feet tall on a distant hill, rustled its branches in the wind. The poplar's trunk was thick and sturdy. Chang Yukin stood silently behind the tree, hidden from Li Wei's view. She wore a lotus-green Taoist robe, her hair styled in a Taoist bun secured with a jade hairpin, and carried a white bearded whisk. Her vital energy was completely concealed. Her slender, graceful neck and captivating eyes, reflecting the myriad manifestations of the mortal realm, radiated both ethereal purity and alluring charm. Sensing Li Wei's swift departure, Chang Yukin emerged from behind the tree, murmuring to herself, such remarkable perception. He must have reached the profound perception realm. Avoiding the underground passages suggests he knows the insect clan serves as the Shi King bandit raiders' eyes and ears. Chang Yukin had cultivated a formidable ocular technique called myriad manifestations of the mortal realm, reaching its 9th layer. Even Qing Si couldn't shake her off. Knowing Li Wei possessed a strange insect capable of microscopic invisibility, Chang Yukin was confident she wouldn't give him a chance to use it. The moment Li Wei approached the three-clan alliance's encampment, she was certain she could find him. This was the absolute dominance of a transcendent over a mortal realm martial mystic cultivator in terms of cultivation realm and techniques. After vanishing for half a year, he had finally reappeared. Chang Yukin was about to take a step forward when an indescribable, bone-chilling coldness swept through her body, freezing her in place. Regaining her composure, Chang Yukin formed a hand seal and turned around. On the hillside 20 meters away stood Zhenhai Guanwu, draped in a crimson, gauze-like robe. Her ink-black hair cascaded to her thighs, framing her face as she gazed down at Chang Yukin with a detached, scrutinizing gaze. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 7, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 103, 778, Hiding Li Ling in a Golden Cage. 103rd of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Chong Yukin's mind raced like lightning. I never imagined the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's true form would appear in the wolf solitary wilderness because of a immortal realm martial mystic cultivator. It seems everyone has been mistaken. Li Weiyi's true backer isn't Yu Yaozi, but you. Who is he that the Heavenly Emperor values him so highly? Zhenhai Guanwu's skin, framed by her crimson robes, appeared even more luminous and delicate. Her eyes shone with a confident smile. Chong Yulu, why don't you reveal your true form before me? Whoosh. A watery radiance flowed across Chong Yukin's body, her features and figure shifting to reveal her true form as the Demon Empress. Her aura became even more bewitching and demonic, yet also more ethereal and immortal-like. Crimson robes and emerald garments stood in stark contrast atop the hill. Chong Yulu's brows, painted with floral patterns, radiated starlight. The flying phoenix is merely one of the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's enemies, isn't she? Exposing your true form here puts you at risk, but that's secondary. The various powers will now reassess Li Weiyi's value. Is he your weakness? Do you think you could escape if I wanted to kill you? Zhenhai Guanwu asked. Chong Yulu's eyes turned slightly cold as she pondered for a moment. If you kill me, you'll inevitably expose yourself. Zhenhai Guanwu clasped her jade arms behind her back, gazing in the direction Li Weiyi had departed. I came to tell you two things. First, Yu Baxian ordered you to retrieve the life-preserving spring jade scroll, treating you as nothing more than a disposable tool. If you retrieve it as Chong Yulu and are discovered, do you think Yu Yao will spare you? She'll use her power and the rules of the Immortal Ascension competition to condemn you to eternal damnation. If you retrieve it as Chong Yukin, intending to seduce and deceive, Yu Baxian is truly generous, offering his own concubine as a gift. He's already a withered corpse, facing pressure from all sides, Yu Daojun, Nine-Headed Dragon, Cave Void Ghost Emperor, and the Abbot. He's merely struggling in his death throes. Why cling to him for the sake of some so-called Heavenly Emperor opportunity? Would he truly grant it to you? Does such an opportunity even exist? Chong Yulu's expression remained unchanged. The Mist Heavenly Sovereign certainly knows how to spin a tale. Deny it if you wish. The position of Second Palace Master in Lingxiao Palace remains vacant. Establishing the Void Ancient Kingdom was merely the beginning. The immortal Dao Dragon Vein of the East Sea offers far greater possibilities. Yingzhou is on the cusp of a monumental transformation, and seizing this opportunity is paramount. Zhenhai Guanwu glided along the mountain ridge, her shadow completely enveloping Chong Yulu. Secondly, Zhenhai continued, you maintain close ties with that spider in the ancient underground sea. Deliver this message, she must not harm Li Weiyi or Zuoqiu Hongting. I won't interfere with battles fought within the rules, if you can defeat him, that's your own skill. But those of you who seek to break the rules, these unstable factors. If you haven't even taken my warning seriously enough. Don't blame my sword for showing no mercy. Consider the Chong clan's future carefully. Oh, and if you truly seek a breakthrough to become the Heavenly Emperor, perhaps your opportunity lies with Li Weiyi. Am I just being paranoid? He returned safely to the Mu clan tribe after dark, the night sky pitch black. Li Weiyi reverted to his Li Ting appearance and looked up to see Zuoqiu Hongting waiting quietly on the tribe's gate wall. Their eyes met, and smiles bloomed on both their faces. You're finally back. Ku Yao summoned me earlier. She's completely convinced you're Fang Yuting. How did you manage that? Zuoqiu Hongting asked, her curiosity piqued as they walked toward the tents together. Does hero saves beauty count? Noble ladies from the Prime Minister's residence have deep-seated prejudices against loose cultivators. I'm just useful to her for now. Li Weiyi changed the subject. What did you tell her? I simply recounted the story we prepared beforehand, that I'd been taking care of you during your darkest, most despondent days. Zuoqiu Hongting shot him a sly glance. Li Weiyi suddenly stopped walking. Hongting, has the Earth Wolf King's army joined the Zuoqiu clan? What's wrong? After Shi-Na disappeared, the Great Lord offered their allegiance. Such major decisions are always finalized by the School of Diplomacy, I only heard about it later. Wait, why are you asking about this now? Zuoqiu Hongting sensed he wasn't accusing her. Li Weiyi replied, you know the major powers of the Southern Territory better than I do. Do you know anything about Shi-Na's background? I might have encountered him. You encountered him in the wolf solitary wilderness. Zuoqiu Hongting asked, secretly surprised. She focused her thoughts, recalling, I don't know much about this barbarian bandit either. He seems to have no sector lineage, unlike the other two great barbarian bandits, Yuan Yan and Shu Fodu. One is a descendant of the Night Emperor, and the other is a disciple of the Coffin Mountain's Forbidden One, both with traceable cultivation lineages. He likely appeared in Shu Prefecture in the Southern Territory over a century ago, already a great immortal realm expert. Oh, and his skills in concealment, earth evasion, and escape are extraordinary. Even when the imperial court sent transcendent experts to kill him, he managed to evade them all. That's all I know. Li Wei was deeply concerned about the celestial star in Xin Er's possession. It was undoubtedly one of the most precious treasures in southern Yingzhou, and he bitterly regretted his insufficient cultivation. Otherwise, he would have personally pursued it. Palace Master N, you're such a disappointment. Li Wei secretly pondered who he could contact to retrieve the celestial star. This person needed to have higher cultivation than Xin Er and be absolutely trustworthy. Master Coffin was too far away, beyond the reach of the Emperor's authority. Yu Yaozi was guarding the Holy Hall Life Realm and couldn't easily leave. The allure of the celestial star was overwhelming, yet he couldn't even count the truly trustworthy on one hand. If he told others, they might seize the celestial star and then silence him permanently. A trip to Lu province nearly cost me my life. I can't risk contacting the outside world again and exposing my whereabouts. Li Wei suppressed the thought, reminding himself not to complicate matters further. Now that I'm back, I must pay my respects to Kuyao. She is now my young lord. Li Wei parted ways with Zhuoqiu Hongting and headed straight for the area where the 9th generation immortals of the Demon Kingdom resided. After meeting Kuyao, Li Wei inquired about the enforcement group's investigation results. As expected, they had found little useful information, even the traces underground had been destroyed by swarms of insects. Li Wei requested a month's leave to recover from his injuries. Healing spiritual pills were far too expensive for a loose cultivator like Fang Yuding to afford, leaving him to recuperate slowly. Returning to his residence, Li Wei retrieved 5 immortal formation fragments and arranged them around himself, studying each one meticulously. Relying on others is futile, I must enhance my own strength. Even if Xin Er possessed the celestial star, Li Wei remained confident he could catch up. With just a further boost in power, Li Wei would dare to use the trump card Yu Yaozi had given him to pursue Xin Er. If necessary, he could borrow the trump cards of Zhuoqiu Hongting and Kuyao as well. Holding an immortal formation fragment in his hand, Li Wei drew a 7th grade 1000 inscriptions artifact level battle weapon. He swung, hacked, and stabbed, yet left not a single mark on the fragment. Its hardness rivaled that of a myriad inscriptions artifact. Could this truly be a fragment of an immortal formation that shattered upon impact in southern Yingzhou? Li Wei knew that immortal formation fragments were considered a specialty of the wolf solitary wilderness's underground regions. Within the fragment were 17 formation inscription symbols, far more complex than any he had ever seen, making them impossible to replicate. Whoosh! Li Wei channeled spiritual qi and spiritual light into the fragment. The immortal formation fragment acted like a bottomless pit, endlessly devouring the spiritual qi and spiritual light, yet the 17 formation inscription symbols remained unchanged. Legend says that activating the formation inscription symbols within immortal formation fragments enhances the power of formations. Could my spiritual light be too weak to activate them? Immortal formation fragments were typically used in holy formations, with spiritual formations rarely employing them. The activators of holy formations were holy spiritual king psychic masters and transcendent beings. Li Wei immediately thought of Nangong's Fountain of Light. That acupoint could produce droplets of transcendent spiritual power and martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor spiritual power, undoubtedly capable of activating the immortal formation fragment. If he could also seize the Void Ruins Empress's scepter from Jiyu Junxiang, it would be perfect. 7 days later, Li Ling's psychic power transmission arrived. The Chun silkworm is about to mature. Li Wei immediately went to the formation tower, brought Zhuoqiu Hongting back to the tent, and entered the underground cultivation chamber. Layer upon layer of formations activated. The 5th Phoenix guarded the cultivation chamber. 7th Phoenix remained vigilant, monitoring every move of the 9th generation immortals of the Demon Kingdom. What's happening now? Zhuoqiu Hongting asked, turning to 5th Phoenix. She crouched down, playfully poked its beak, and smiled. Little 5th has grown so much. You're almost breaking through to the 5th immortal realm, aren't you? Hongting, are you ready? Come with me. Li Wei activated the Dao Ancestor's Tai Chi fish, enveloping her within its protective aura. Ready for what? Exactly. Caught completely off guard, Zhuoqiu Hongting was plunged into a disorienting state of weightlessness, as if plummeting thousands of feet. The sensation was utterly unbearable. The moment she materialized in the blood-mud space, her balance faltered, and she nearly stumbled. Fortunately, someone grabbed her wrist, steadying her. Within the formation-illuminated cultivation chamber, only a Tai Chi imprint floated in midair, its center slowly rotating with a pale crimson Buddha's relic, like a solitary starlight in the cosmos. The one who had caught her wrist was Li Ling. Zhuoqiu Hongting stared at Li Ling, who had suddenly appeared before her, then quickly scanned her surroundings. The towering phoenix blood tree immediately caught her eye, its trunk 5 meters in diameter and its branches reaching for the heavens. Beneath the tree lay a mound of immortal soil and spiritual soil. The emperor herb, red dust entanglement, resembling morning glories, thrived in the immortal soil. Li Wei would never feed the entire emperor medicine plant to the 5th phoenix, 6th phoenix, or 7th phoenix. He only harvested the leaves and petals. The jade boat, 5-colored mountain, the transcendent flesh of the 4 extremes ape king frozen in ice. Zhuo Hongting, with her exceptional composure, quickly regained her composure and surveyed the blood mud space. She retrieved a folding fan from her sleeve realm pouch and snapped it open with a flourish. So this is the secret you've been hiding, brother Wei. Are you feeling warm, Hongting? Li Wei asked, noticing her inner turmoil. Zhuo Hongting rolled her eyes at him and turned to Li Ling. What's this charade? Keeping a beauty hidden away. Don't misunderstand, Li Ling replied. I'm just helping him raise silkworms for a year. Li Ling and Zhuo Hongting had known each other since childhood and shared a close bond. Li Wei had met Zhuo Hongting through Li Ling. Zhuo Hongting sighed, fanning herself. Impressive, brother Wei. You're truly skilled at keeping secrets. You always claimed we were the most kindred spirits, yet I never understood you at all. Aren't I your best companion? You've kept a stunning beauty hidden by your side for an entire year without a word to your companion. Is our relationship strained, or is my bond with Li Ling not deep enough? Does Tang Wanzhou know how secretive you can be? She knows, Li Ling said. Zhuo Hongting's eyes froze, and she stood there stunned. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 104, 779, Zhuo Hongting of the South, Tang Wanzhou of the North. 104th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei, a divine hidden one of the Zhu Li tribe, had known Li Ling for a long time. He trusted her implicitly and had asked her to help raise silkworms here, which Zhuo Hongting completely understood. But Tang Wanzhou. Zhuo Hongting remained silent for a long time. So, in your heart, Tang Wanzhou is more trustworthy than me. This wasn't the resentful jealousy of a woman scorned. It was Zhuo Hongting's genuine belief that she surpassed Tang Wanzhou in trust and camaraderie. She had known Li Wei longer, weathered storms together, and even if she lost to Zhang Ning, she would accept it, knowing Li Wei truly harbored feelings for Zhang Ning. Li Wei had already prepared his explanation, but Li Ling's indiscretion left him feeling utterly overwhelmed. With no other option, he told the truth, recounting the events that had transpired at the rice cultivation headquarters within the underground immortal mansion. So, it was all a complete accident. I had to place the young lord in the blood mud space to escape the rice cultivation headquarters. I never anticipated she would awaken midway. Hongting, this has nothing to do with trusting one person more than another. Li Wei sighed, recalling the events in the underground immortal mansion. It felt like a lifetime ago. Though only 6 or 7 years had passed, the decades he had spent cultivating within the cocoon of time, the nether domain, and the Chun cocoon made it seem as distant as a past life. Zhuo Hongting's crimson eyes sparkled with curiosity. Tang Wanzhou was also cursed with the 6 thoughts heart spirit curse. No wonder such a detached sword cultivator could fall in love. Brother Wei, the entire world envies you, including me. Li Wei's mind flashed back to his experiences with Tang Wanzhou. Shouldn't the world envy me for having Zhuo Hongting, a fiancé of unparalleled talent and wisdom? Even if our engagement might be annulled at any moment, we're more comfortable as brothers. Li Ling interjected, only after annulling the engagement can you marry the number 1 scholar of the Sword Dao Imperial Court, the young lord of Snow Sword Tang Court. Then, Hongting, you'll become the laughingstock of the world. Li Wei's expression darkened, and he nearly cast a immobilization talisman on Li Ling. Li Ling's words do have some merit, Zhuo Hongting said, unfurling her fan and gently waving it as she strolled toward the edge of the blood mud space. I've suddenly realized something interesting. If I don't annul the engagement, Tang Wanzhou and Zhang Ning might end up begging me, offering me immense benefits to annul it myself. The thought is quite satisfying. I remember you once said you wouldn't annul the engagement and would respect my decision, right? Li Wei shot Li Ling a warning glance before turning to Zhuo Hongting with a brotherly grin. Well, you'd better think carefully. I wouldn't mind marrying both Nan Hongting and Bei Wanzhou, Zhuo Hongting of the South, Tang Wanzhou of the North. When the time comes, I'll have Li Ling serve as your bridal attendant. Dream on, Zhuo Hongting scoffed. As if you could even imagine such a thing. Dismissing the matter, she asked, what exactly is this place? The ancestral field world of the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor. A spatial spiritual artifact. Ordinary ancestral field worlds can't sustain plant life, and the spiritual chi here is incredibly dense. Li Wei approached the edge of the blood mud space and gently pressed his palm against the air. The blood mist receded, revealing a transparent spatial barrier. Beyond it lay the boundless turquoise waters of the Tanggu Sea, the sky-piercing Fusong divine tree, and the Zihei flowers blooming on the sea's surface. Whoosh! A spatial passage opened. Li Wei, Zuoqiu Hongting, and Li Ling emerged in single file, standing on the sea. They felt the gentle breeze and listened to the rhythmic crashing of the waves. The breathtaking sight left Zuoqiu Hongting speechless for a long moment. She finally understood that Li Wei's decision to bring her here, revealing his greatest secret, carried profound significance. They returned to the blood-mud space. No wonder your spiritual sense is the Fusong divine tree, Zuoqiu Hongting murmured, her voice filled with awe. No wonder you can gather such vast quantities of destructive flames. Cultivating psychic power here will at least double your progress. Her gaze met Li Wei's, who was also looking at her. Hongting. We're the closest of friends. The Chun silkworms matured. Zuoqiu Hongting collected enough golden haze pill chi from the alchemical furnace to sustain her cultivation for 2 years, storing it in a medicinal bottle before handing it to Li Wei. Li Wei reciprocated by gifting her 5 holy psychic star pills. He himself retained 2 holy psychic star pills, of even higher quality. Each pill was priceless, a treasure coveted by holy spiritual master in the 6th and 7th realms. They had been purchased with spiritual crystals won at the Fate Gambling House. Even a noble lady like Ku Yao from the Prime Minister's residence would likely possess only a limited supply of holy psychic star pills, far less than Li Wei's reserves. The 5-colored mountain, 10 zhang tall, resembled a sculpture carved from 5-colored divine stone. Li Wei and Zuoqiu Hongting sat cross-legged on its summit, like celestial children, their bodies gradually enveloped by the silken cocoons of the Chun silkworms. Li Wei swallowed a holy psychic star pill. Instead of dissolving immediately, the pill hovered in his chest, radiating a brilliant light like an immortal lantern, eternally illuminating his body. From his boundary pouch, Li Wei successively retrieved down nurturing crystals, the golden skeleton scriptures, a bottle of golden haze pill chi, 2 classic texts related to the 5 elements, and a mid-grade spiritual formation inscriptions manual. For his first silken cocoon, he focused primarily on cultivating the golden holy bone, aiming to quickly sense the metal attribute law of heaven and earth and further refine his profound perception. He didn't bother meditating to absorb the holy psychic star pill. If it went to waste, so be it. He could afford the loss, time was far more precious. 4 months later, Li Wei's entire skeleton had transformed into golden bone, imprinted with over 100,000 scriptures, completing the first stage of cultivation. From head to toe, his bones emitted faint cracking sounds, undergoing a violent metamorphosis. Closing his eyes and focusing inward, he observed the 206 bones in his body glowing brilliantly, densely covered with shimmering scriptures that gradually merged into the bone's interior. Li Wei could clearly sense his physical body growing more robust, his bones nourishing his blood qi, improving daily. Through this physical transformation, his cultivation realm advanced in one leap to the mid-stage of the 4th immortal realm. Another year passed. The number of scriptures imprinted on his bones had increased to 260,000. The scriptures on his immortal golden core had also significantly expanded, now dominated by 5-element scriptures. For the first time, the immortal golden core briefly flashed with a 5-colored radiance before vanishing. Hiss. The Chun cocoon dissolved. For Li Ling outside, only 3 days had passed. But inside the cocoon, Li Wei and Zuoqiu Hongting had been sitting in meditation for 480 days, an excruciatingly long and monotonous period. Had it not been for their profound interest in and yearning for the great Tao, ordinary people imprisoned like this would have crumbled under the torment. Splash. The Chun silkworms transformed into 2 butterflies, which Li Ling collected and fed essence medicine herbs. Li Wei's expression turned solemn as he tensed his entire body, bracing for the temporal backlash that would follow the cocoon's dissolution. To his surprise, the backlash was far less severe than he had anticipated. After a brief bout of dizziness, he quickly recovered through meditative breathing. That shouldn't be right. I only rested for half a year. Could it be that cultivating the golden holy bone has strengthened my physical body, enhancing my resistance to time backlash? Li Wei recalled the catastrophic backlash he had suffered after breaking free from the Chun cocoon in the Void Ruins ancient kingdom. Comparing that experience to his current state, he clearly felt his physical resilience had increased dramatically. Beside him, Zuoqiu Hongting's face remained pale, and it took her significantly longer to regain her composure. Over the past 3 years, Zuoqiu Hongting had spent more than a decade cultivating in the nether domain and within the Chun seedling. This 480-day seclusion had finally begun to take its toll on her. How are you feeling? Li Wei asked. Not bad, Zuoqiu Hongting replied. Not as terrible as you described. Have you completed the first stage of the golden holy bone cultivation? Li Wei asked. Zuoqiu Hongting nodded. All 100,000 inscriptions have been integrated into the golden bone. With just physical strength, I can now rival an ordinary 4th realm great immortal cultivator. That's it. The first stage of the golden holy bone has enhanced our physical resilience. Hongting, you can enter the Chun cocoon for another round of secluded cultivation. Li Wei emerged from the monotonous and stifling seclusion, his spirits lifting as he inwardly surveyed his spirit realm. His psychic power stars had increased from 54 to 57. Xuanhuan's psychic power stars had risen to 49, reaching the peak of the Holy Spiritual Master's fourth realm. Don't rush into another seclusion. Let's go out for a while. Li Wei planned to return to the Mu clan tribe to assess the situation outside. He remained uneasy about leaving everything to 7th Phoenix, whose wisdom still lacked maturity and fell far short of her fangs. She's more suited to scouting than commanding armies. Xuanhuan suggested, Li Ling has been cooped up here for a year. Should we take her with us? Let her focus on her cultivation here. A mere holy spiritual master, what right does she have to go out for leisure? She probably can't even compare to Yaoyin anymore. Li Wei's disdain for Li Ling was written all over his face. Li Ling frowned slightly as she fed the 2 chun butterflies, not even glancing at him. I know you can't stand me. I'll leave as soon as your seclusion ends. I'm going back to the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom to find my father. In the Lingxiao life realm, holy spiritual masters were considered giants, capable of establishing sects and dominating entire regions. Li Ling, though she didn't consider herself exceptional, was certainly no slouch. Yet Li Wei had dismissed her as utterly useless, naturally igniting her anger. But she dared not voice her resentment. Li Wei was truly capable of violence, Yao Fu had warned her. He wouldn't seriously harm her, but for a dignified holy spiritual master to be beaten would be utterly humiliating. After all, she was already in her 20s, no longer the naive girl she once was. Thinking of Hidden 24, Yao Fu, who had been so thoroughly suppressed she couldn't even lift her head, Li Ling felt a little better. As for Li Wei giving the chun cocoons to Xuanhuan instead of her, the silkworm breeder, Li Ling felt no resentment. She understood that during the Immortal Ascension competition, only Hong Ting could truly assist him. You said it yourself. I'm not kicking you out. Don't go running back to old Li to complain. Li Wei said, watching Li Ling's retreating figure. He pulled out a youthful jade pear, placed it on the jade boat, and returned to the Mu clan tribe with Xuanhuan. It was already the end of the year, and every household in the tribe was preparing for the New Year festivities. Martial mystic path experts at the Dao Seed realm returned to the tribe, dragging back 6 or 7 massive demonic beasts. They slaughtered the creatures in the central plaza, drawing a crowd of cheering children. The wolf solitary wilderness occupied a unique position, bordering the demon kingdom to the south, the holy dynasty to the north, and the turbulent chaos zone to the west. This chaos zone differed from the one near the Calamity Crossing Temple. Here, 7 or 8 living realms of the demon clan intertwined with the nether realm of the dead. Further west lay the great wilderness demon plains. Half a day later, they returned to the blood mud space. Li Wei and Xuanhuan stood on 5-colored mountain, preparing for their second secluded cultivation session. Take this bottle of nether soul divine essence for spirit condensation, Li Wei offered. Xuanhuan refused, knowing how rare the substance was. She pointed to her forehead. How could I have reached the peak of the 4th realm so quickly without a method for rapid spirit condensation? Just take it. I have plenty to spare. Li Wei was genuinely generous, he truly had more than he could ever use. In the nether domain of the Chronoverse Ancient Kingdom, nether soul divine essence was indeed rare, condensing drop by drop over millennia. However, the nether spirit ancient tree in the imperial clan court of the demon kingdom had contained an entire pool of the essence, from which he had collected a substantial quantity. Unfortunately, Qingxi had taken the nether soul divine essence spring pool with him. Sizzle. The Chun silkworm wove its silk once more. During his second seclusion, Li Wei consumed his second holy psychic star pill, shifting his cultivation focus to his martial mystic path realm. His goal was to reach the peak of the 4th realm of the immortal realm as quickly as possible. The cultivation and study of psychic power, formation inscriptions, golden holy bones, and Dao techniques were relegated to secondary importance. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 105, 780, Emerging from Seclusion, Greatly Improved Strength. 105th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The first stage of the Golden Holy Bone required 100,000 inscriptions to be fused into the Golden Bone. The second stage demanded the imprinting of 1,000,000 inscriptions onto the Golden Bone, a feat impossible to achieve in a short time. Mastering the second stage would grant Li Wei the physical combat prowess to rival the weakest 7th realm martial mystic cultivators of the immortal realm. This enhancement to physical strength and resilience was Li Wei's most fervent desire. In close combat, the physical body could naturally harmonize with the martial mystic path, allowing him to shatter law with brute force. Unlike the fragile and severely limited psychic martial mystic fusion, this approach offered unparalleled power. The third stage required 10 million inscriptions to be imprinted into the golden bone. Once achieved, his blood chi would surge like a dragon, his strength would be capable of moving mountains, and his physical combat prowess would rival that of transcendent beings. Naturally, the difficulty of this cultivation path was immense. Even 7th realm martial mystic cultivators of the immortal realm faced a formidable hurdle in cultivating 10 million inscriptions within their immortal golden cores, requiring countless years of accumulation. Imprinting 10 million inscriptions into the golden bone posed an even greater challenge, demanding a significant portion of his time be dedicated to this third path of cultivation. With the golden haze pill chi and azure cloud immortal chi, such rare and precious resources, combined with the Tao nurturing crystal and the remaining dragon soul origin light, I should have a chance to reach the peak of the fourth immortal realm. For these 480 days, I must remain completely focused and give it my all. Time flowed relentlessly. Within Li Weiyi's divine pivot, the immortal golden core continued to circulate ceaselessly, causing the inscriptions to grow rapidly. As he absorbed more golden haze pill chi, subtle changes occurred within his spiritual chi, making it increasingly refined and pure. After 480 days, the spiritual chi within his divine pivot had become incomparably dense, flowing endlessly through his meridian veins. The cocoon shattered. Whoosh! Clear radiance immortal haze erupted forth, its luminous mist instantly filling the blood-mud space, illuminating an area spanning dozens of miles. Li Ling gazed intently at the summit of five-colored mountain, feeling an overwhelming pressure descend upon her, weighing heavily on her shoulders. Sand and stone swirled at her feet, while the leaves of the phoenix blood tree trembled beside her. Is this his current cultivation level? Among the Zhu Li tribe, few can match him now. She had only sensed such formidable spiritual chi from the clan chief and a handful of Li Prefecture's most elite cultivators. Peak of the fourth immortal realm. Before Li Weiyi could fully grasp the profound mysteries of this pinnacle realm, the backlash of time surged upon him like a tidal wave. The world spun violently, leaving his limbs weak and numb. Fortunately, it's just a normal time backlash, slightly stronger than the first time, but it hasn't harmed my body yet, Li Weiyi said, glancing at Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan, whose martial mystic path cultivation was at the second immortal realm, had far weaker resistance. Her face was drained of color, and blood streamed from her nostrils. Yet she sat upright, her gaze focused. Her hands moved in intricate patterns, forming the 8 trigrams seal. Blood transformed into shimmering peach blossoms, which flew back into her body, seeping into her skin and reconverting into blood chi. The 8 trigrams life-death seal, peach and plum blossoms fill the world. Such miraculous effects. Li Weiyi marveled inwardly. Xuanhuan's martial mystic path skills were undoubtedly on par with those of any true disciple of the ancient sects. Shenji and Qi Jianru, at Xuanhuan's age, were far from her equal. The 2 battle intent techniques Xuanhuan had cultivated formed the foundation of the Great Tao, and they were now undergoing a profound transformation. After completing her breathing exercises, Xuanhuan turned to Li Weiyi, who sat beside her. I couldn't break the third immortal shackle, and my fifth soul solidified only 80%. What a pity, I failed to achieve a breakthrough. Now I probably won't be able to use the Chun cocoon for a long time and will have to recuperate at normal time flow. Li Weiyi said, with your current strength, few can match a 9th generation immortal. In just over a year, you've condensed 80% of your spirit condensation, faster than even I managed. You'll likely reach the 5th realm of Holy Spiritual Master within a few months. You've been distracted by your primary focus on the martial mystic path. I specialize in psychic power and have the primordial lamp's assistance, yet I'm still a full realm behind you, Xuanhuan replied. Has your psychic power already reached the peak of the 5th realm of Holy Spiritual Master? The 59th psychic power star has indeed been condensed. Come, lend me a hand. Li Weiyi descended from 5-colored mountain to the ground, retrieving 4 immortal formation fragments and handing them to Xuanhuan, who had landed beside him. I've refined these with the 4 elemental forces, wind, fire, thunder, and lightning, imbuing them with their respective attributes. Can you inscribe the formation base formation inscriptions and spiritual bridge formation marks? My mastery of formation is no less than yours. A mid-grade spiritual formation is hardly challenging. Xuanhuan studied the 4 immortal formation fragments, secretly clicking her tongue. She felt utterly deceived by Li Weiyi. The man always prioritized seizing boundary pouches above all else, content to grab a quick bite from street vendors. Anyone who didn't know better would assume he was penniless, unable to afford proper meals or even basic necessities. But the truth was, he could casually produce items that would make even seasoned great immortal realm cultivators green with envy. If his entire wealth were unearthed, it would undoubtedly surpass that of many young transcendent beings. Whoosh! Li Weiyi retrieved the wind chapter of the Earth Book and channeled spiritual chi into it. The white, paper-like Earth Book rapidly unfurled in midair, expanding to a colossal size 10 zhong long and 6 zhong wide. Immortal-infused characters projected from its surface, casting their glow across the sky and ground. A fierce wind erupted from within the Earth Book, howling and roaring. Each page of the Earth Book was a formidable spiritual artifact. When activated, the Wind chapter unleashed a tempestuous gale. In terms of speed and flight, it far surpassed the Wind chapter once wielded by the immortal cultivators of the Zhongsheng Academy. Li Wei leapt onto the center of the Earth Book, his brow radiating a four-colored spiritual light. He raised his right hand. The 1,200 spiritual formation inscriptions etched onto the Wind chapter materialized, shimmering in the air. Li Wei began inscribing the 400 mid-grade spiritual formation inscriptions for the fourth stage. During his seclusion within the Chun seedling, he had thoroughly mastered the Wind attribute formation inscriptions, making the inscription process swift. Half a day later, the 4 pages of the Earth Book floated around Li Wei in cardinal directions, displaying all 6,400 formation inscriptions in their entirety. The 4 elemental forces wind, fire, thunder, and lightning converged within the formation, manifesting as a golden flame crow, and lightning dragon, thunderous force like clenched fists, and wind fiends resembling blades of rain. 4 immortal formation fragments transformed into formation bases, supporting the Earth Book pages and supplying them with spiritual qi, minimizing Li Wei's spiritual light expenditure. This allowed him to control the formation while simultaneously casting psychic techniques, including the spiritual light armor, a feat previously impossible. Xuanhuan Hongting stood at the formation's edge. With this formation and your psychic martial mystic fusion combat prowess, you have few rivals below the 7th realm of the immortal realm. Only the top few dozen 8th generation immortals can still surpass you. The strength difference between 6th realm immortals and the 6th realm black armored man Li Wei had slain was naturally vast. Of the scriptures cultivated by the black armored man, only over 2 million had reached the early or mid stages of the 6th immortal realm. Li Wei deactivated the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation. It's a pity the azure heavenly thunder is far away in the Thunder Sea, and the 5 fiends heavenly wind is too rare. Otherwise, even the 7th realm of the immortal realm wouldn't be beyond our reach. The golden crow flame, however, could be summoned at any time. Yet relying solely on the golden crow flame to enhance the formation's offensive power had its limits. It lacked the concentrated potency of the azure heavenly thunder and the razor-sharp edge of the wind fiend. Xuanhuan Hongting said, your opponent is a 9th generation immortal. From what I've seen, with a little caution, you could break through even if surrounded. You've improved dramatically since last year. Only the experts from the dead spirit side still warrant some caution. Li Wei's confidence surged, but he remained grounded. It's not that simple. The death warriors from the Demon Kingdom faction, who could emerge at any moment, are the true threat. Take the Holy Dynasty immortal cultivator. From this incident he died without leaving any evidence, making it impossible to trace the mastermind behind him. Wait a minute. I just had an idea. What is it? Xuanhuan Hongting asked. Li Wei smiled. After killing the black armored man, the iron masked man seized the Holy Dynasty Jade Tome he had collected. He'll definitely try to trade it with the Demon Kingdom. In other words, he'll show himself again. He sent Xuanhuan Hongting out of the blood mud space to oversee the situation outside. Li Wei immediately traveled to the Soul Sea, where he used the power of the starlight to locate the 5th immortal shackle. Then, for the 3rd time, he entered seclusion within the Chun cocoon. Yu Jingxuan said the second body transcending pill would be half as effective. Even at half strength, it should still take only about 2 years to break the immortal shackle. It's still better than nothing. Li Wei swallowed the body transcending pill. This time, he maintained a calm mindset, focusing on refining his 6th soul, the essence soul, studying the formation inscriptions of high-grade spiritual formations, attacking the immortal shackle, comprehending the golden holy scriptures, and practicing the 6th layer of the sixfold samsara burning karma technique. He pursued all these cultivation methods steadily and simultaneously. The 1,600 formation inscriptions of the 5th tier Great Wind, Fire, Thunder, and Lightning formation were now high-grade spiritual formation inscriptions, significantly increasing the difficulty. Once completed, the number of formation inscriptions would reach 8,000. The formation's standard power could rival even Dao Harmony realm experts in the 7th realm of the Immortal Realm who had cultivated tens of millions of inscriptions. Li Wei's plan was to avoid studying all 4 high-grade spiritual formation inscriptions simultaneously. He would first inscribe the 400 fire attribute high-grade spiritual formation inscriptions. This would allow him to control and restrain the even more powerful golden crow flame. Time passed in the blink of an eye. The Chun cocoon unraveled. Under the backlash of time, Li Wei's body finally showed signs of damage, blood trickling from his nose. Compared to his ordeal in the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, this was a minor setback. This was not only due to his cultivation of the Golden Holy Bone but also because his cultivation realm had advanced significantly, greatly enhancing his resistance to temporal backlash. After these 2 secluded sessions, I've imprinted 500,000 inscriptions onto the golden bone. With some rest, I should at least be able to use the cocoon of time for cultivation. The golden bone's rapid enhancement was primarily due to the golden haze pill chi. The inscriptions on the immortal golden pill had surpassed 1.5 million, and when combined with those in the golden bone, Li Wei's total inscriptions within his body reached 2 million. The quantity of inscriptions was no longer his weakness. Li Wei internally examined the 5th immortal shackle. 7 or 8 cracks now marred its chains. He estimated he could break it within 6 months at the earliest or a year at the latest. Externally, it had only been a year since he broke through to the 4th realm of the immortal realm. In reality, however, 5.5 years had passed. His 6th soul had only been condensed by 30%, as expected, since he hadn't fully focused his energy on spirit condensation. The greatest gain from this seclusion was undoubtedly his mastery of 400 high-grade spiritual formation inscriptions of the fire attribute. He was now fully proficient and ready to begin inscribing them. 2 days later, Li Ting emerged from his tent, fully healed and refreshed. He headed toward the formation tower to find Zhuo Hongting. Over half a month had passed since he requested leave from Ku Yao, and he wanted to learn the latest intelligence from the wolf solitary wilderness. He had only gone halfway when Mu Qing, a guard, rushed toward him, his expression grave and fear still lingering in his eyes. "Guard captain, the noble lady requests your presence." Clearly, someone had immediately reported his emergence from seclusion to Ku Yao. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.